Hey, this is
Hey.
this is Who Are You? You found the podcast. Normally we watch sci-fi television, reasonably well done,
Uh,
etc., etc. But
yeah.
today we're having a bit of a Black Hawk downer.
You want to explain to the audience one more time why we watched this movie?
Yeah, so we watched this movie. Well, one, we had picked Blade Runner because of Edward James Olmos, right?
Yeah.
And then
Easy
easy
pick.
pick. So while I was reading So Say We All, which is, where's it on my bookshelf? Mark Altman and Edward Gross's oral history of Battlestar Galactica, both the 70s, the 2000s reboot, and also a little bit of Caprica, Blood and Chrome. Other failed reboots are covered as well.
Oh no, other failed reboots? I don't know if we've discussed that far.
Well, there was one planned before Ron Moore that was going to be
Oh, we
done
did talk about
by
that.
Bryan
Okay.
Singer of X-Men fame.
Uh-huh.
And so that's covered in the book and stuff. Anyways, part of the you're going to be a director on Battlestar Galactica, they would send them a little gift as their first time.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
in it were 3 DVDs, which was Blade Runner, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Black Hawk Down.
Right.
These make up the visual language of Battlestar Galactica. If you watch these 3 movies and understand what these movies are doing visually, you will be able to make a good episode of Battlestar Galactica, which I agree
Sure.
with because, goddamn, the cinematography in this movie was fantastic. It was
Truly.
it was awe-inspiring in the best and worst ways.
Yep. That is a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Because we've already watched Blade Runner
yeah.
for the podcast, we were kind of doing the coin flip between Black Hawk Down and 2001, which you've seen 2001
I've seen
before, right, Xhafer?
2001 a number of times. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, we've both seen it a number of times. I do find it hard to stay awake. Some of that soundtrack is just really
yeah.
soothing. It's not particularly a fast paced
No, it's
movie.
not.
And yeah, I was just at a point where I was like, I'm not sure I can do that one for podcast right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
So we chose
so we went
this,
with this
which
one.
neither of us had seen before. We both missed this one.
Yep. Hey, I'm going to out myself as so super ignorant
Yeah.
before we watch this movie. Like, not familiar with the book it's based
Yeah.
on, not the best student of history. I think we've talked
I mean,
before
this is
about.
like a weird, obviously it was enough for a book and a movie, but this was
Uh
not
huh.
like a big deal thing. This was one of many police actions that took place
Hmm.
in the 80s and 90s to help secure freedom. Like,
Yeah.
there's
And
a
we were
thousand
like
stories like this of American
six.
imperialism. Yeah. Oh yeah, we were
Yeah.
kids. We
Yeah.
were actual
Literal babies.
children. Yeah.
Yeah. So walking into this movie, I knew there's a helicopter that goes down.
Yeah.
And I know we have to rescue people from helicopter that goes down. I thought, honest to God, Ben is going to die hearing this. That the Black Hawk went down in a jungle, and that's why it was so hard to rescue people
Mm,
and made it complicated.
that would have been preferable, probably.
Yeah, a jungle would have been better than this.
I mean, unless it was like a jungle with the predator in it.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I'm going to try so hard to make some jokes and not be insensitive. Like, it's not a funny movie. It was not
No.
an enjoyable movie. It was a good movie. I want to make this distinction very clear. This movie
Agreed,
this
yes.
movie is important. This movie says important things about war. It does not glorify war in ways that make people want to go sign up for the military. But I do think that if you enjoy this movie, if you watch this movie and it makes you feel happy, you need therapy so
Yeah,
badly. Like, stop listening to this podcast and go find a therapist. Um,
truly. Go to BetterHelp
yeah,
right now.
please get help because dear God, like I think I said it to someone. I have a friend. I was talking to a friend who's a vet
Mhm.
about it, And it was just like, I think if you enjoy this movie, you're a sociopath. Like you can appreciate this movie. You can like the artistry of this movie. That's fine. It's a very pretty movie at times, but wow. And on top of it, like today specifically is a very weird day for the military. And listener, we are recording this at 9:28 p.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time on June 17th. 27 minutes ago, the Irani supreme leader said the battle begins. Nothing's happened since then. And they've warned that there's going to be stuff. U.S. military airplanes and aircraft carriers are currently heading out towards Iran. Israel and Iran have been sending missiles between each other for
days.
I think we're on day 4 or 5 right now. By the time this episode comes out, we could...
Who knows?
Well, and this comes out in 2 weeks. We're not super far ahead right now. There's a very real possibility we will have gone to war and be out of war by the time this episode airs, depending on how that goes. Because there's a lot of stuff that's making me very nervous about the use of a lot of escalated weaponry here.
This is a very strange context to be trying to review a war-ish movie for you all.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know that we're in this interesting position. And hey, if you guys don't want to engage with this when it comes out in 2 weeks, like, don't. We love you.
Oh, yeah. If everything's gone to shit.
Yeah. Just consider this a blanket content warning for military stuff.
Yeah.
Be free if you don't want to do this.
Yeah,
we'll come back for BSG.
Maybe. Yikes.
Yeah. So speaking of BSG, Xhafer, when we start this movie, did your heart like jump out of its chest?
My first note, and I have 6 pages of notes, and my first 4 pages of notes are like the first 40 minutes of this movie. And then at minute 55 or whatever, when the titular Black Hawk goes down, it's like a page and a half of notes for the rest of the movie because it's mostly just gunfire at that point.
Sure.
But my first fucking note, the fucking font is the same. This is Bank Gothic, if you were unaware.
So Aaron stopped for a second while I was writing stuff.
Yeah.
And he's furiously Googling and he's like, you know what? I don't have time for this right now. We were watching the movie while the toddler was taking her afternoon nap. So
great timing.
We were on a time schedule.
No worries.
Well, I'm
got you.
So our options are during toddler nap or at bedtime.
Neither of which are good.
We took the least bad option.
Yeah.
But yes, please tell me more about this because we wanted to know more about this.
All right. So this is Bank Gothic. It's everywhere. It is the Modern Warfare bit on Call of Duty boxes. It is tons of album covers and movie posters. It is the word original on Irish Spring original packaging. This shit is everywhere. I found a Tumblr called Bank Gothic Everywhere, but it made me sign in after scrolling 5 posts, and fuck that. If you are a website that makes me sign in to view anything, fuck you, I'm out. I refuse.
We need a friend who has a Tumblr already. Because I don't either. So, yeah. Beth, that seems like something Beth might have. Well, we love a font. We stand a good font.
Yeah. So we get this quote, and then we go over to the next.
Oh, yes. Tell us about the quote.
Yeah. Plato has a quote here. Only the dead have seen the end of war. You want a not so, well, I guess it doesn't really, it's just a fact. Not Plato.
Not Plato.
No, this was actually George Santayana. But General Douglas MacArthur, in a address to West Point, 38 years after this was said, to give a time frame on how old this quote is, misattributed it to Plato.
Way to go, Dougie.
Yeah, nailed it. It doesn't sound anything like Play-Doh to me. I don't know. I heard it, like, I didn't hear it. I read it, and I'm all like, that's not Play-Doh. That doesn't sound like
Mhm.
Play-Doh at all.
I think at this point in history, if we hear a quote and they say it's from Plato, there's like a really good chance it's not Plato at this point,
Yeah.
right? People just want to attribute smart thing to smart guy.
Well, like, Play-Doh was around for like X number of years, and we are at a multitude of years past that.
Correct.
We're like 40 or 50 times as many years as Plato lived have occurred since he died. So realistically, it just more stuff gets said and misattributed every year, and he doesn't have a chance to
Yeah.
say anything new. So
But this movie was what? 19 No, they were probably filming in 1999, but it didn't come out till after
this movie came out
the
in December of 2001.
yes.
Uh,
What a great time to drop. I do remember this movie coming out and I remember all of the accolades and such,
yeah.
but I never had any
There's
interest
some
in seeing
stuff
it.
about this movie coming out. One, this movie came out like 2 weeks after Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I remember that one vividly because I saw Fellowship of the Ring 12 times in
Nice.
theaters.
I'm so
I'd
due
never
for a rewatch. We should do that. We should
should do that.
when we're on group vacation together, we should 100%. Everyone who is going is down for this.
Yeah,
Every single person it would be down for this. We should really do this. We should
and I think
spend a
Owen
day.
would love it. He's seen like the first part of Fellowship of the Ring, but when we tried to watch it with him, he was just young enough that when we got to the Nazgul, it was scary.
It will be too scary for Henry.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know that his attention span can handle doing it in a marathon.
Oh. Yeah.
But I'm so here for it. That's a great way to
Yeah.
spend some like afternoons when it's hot out in August.
Yeah. Wow. So I didn't really place those two movies together in the timeline, but
There is
it makes total sense.
third movie in this timeline that has overlap in actors that's going to make you go, what the hell?
Please do. Okay. All right.
No.
Hit me.
No. We'll get to it.
Okay.
I got notes
You're
about
gonna
I got notes about
kick
it
this one down.
somewhere in my it's not on my page that we're on right now. It's somewhere down here. So we're going to kick that can. We open in Somalia. It's the early 90s and shit sucks.
Yes. It is super suck.
It's fucking terrible.
So I think it is 1992 now is what they tell us.
It's 1991, 2, and 3 over the course of this text scroll.
Yeah. Okay. So in the 91, 92-ish time frame, we get a huge famine across Africa.
Yeah, there's starvation,
drought,
war.
And in Somalia, they tell us that 300,000 people have died.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of people. U.S. Marines roll in to stabilize the region and get food to the people. Remember when our military would do that? Feed people.
Yeah. Well, I think they tell us it's like the UN is in charge of feeding people, but the U.S. military obviously has things that we can do for that effort.
Yeah.
Security, a lot of it. And what I was reading, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert about this, but I accidentally did the most research I've ever done for our podcast after I watched this movie.
Yeah.
Because I was freaking fascinated. So they're telling us that the situation at this he was a politician. He's positioned himself as a warlord. Mr. Adid is taking the UN food supplies for his people and allowing other people to starve, right? And the UN was there trying to distribute food supplies. He's taking them away, and he has started like targeting the UN soldiers. So I think there were Pakistani soldiers that were killed?
Yes.
Yes. And other members of the UN soldiers targeted and attacked. And so the UN was like, we need some help defending ourselves from this guy so we can do the humanitarian thing and feed everyone. And that's how we wound up with such a U.S. presence in Somalia at this time.
Yeah. So we finally get the movie starting proper here, October 1993. We're at that Red Cross distribution site where Adid's soldiers open fire on civilians to take that food shipment. The soldiers ask for permission to be heroes and are denied.
Yeah. Rules of engagement. We are not allowed to engage them until they actually engage us, not the civilians.
The soldiers take the food to Mogadishu, where Eric Bana is just hanging out.
Yeah.
The cast in this movie.
Yeah. I was so confused. I was like, what is he doing? Why are we here? Like, Ridley Scott, I read, made the call to put their names at the top of their helmets when we get into actual action.
Yeah.
Because he was afraid the audience wouldn't be able to tell all these white dudes apart. And that was a good fucking call, my man, because I struggled until I had their names at the top of the helmets, knowing who was who. Unless you had a nice distinctive face, which some of our actors do.
Yeah.
But
no, the people subtitles were very nice.
I needed it.
American soldiers very politely escort Osman at Otto, an arms dealer here. And this is where this is the first scene we get where I'm really like, this is Battlestar. When it's Garrison and Otto talking. The play with the shadows and the light feels very Battlestar Galactica to me. They talk about America interjecting themselves places. Garrison reiterates what we got from the crawl, 300,000 dead. It's not war, it's a genocide. For perspective, as of my notes a couple days ago, because I can't say as of recording anymore.
Oh, no.
The Israel-Gaza conflict that's currently ongoing is known to have about 55,000 killed. Then there's the Russia-Ukraine war that's been going for a couple years at this point. Now, this is all over the place for how many people have died. Because
getting accurate numbers hard.
Like 6 months in, Russia was just like, we've killed 1 million Ukrainians, and has not said shit since. And like the day after, Ukraine was all like, what the fuck are you talking about? I guess we've killed 1 million Russians. And those are still the official numbers.
Oh. So unknown, somewhere between 0 and 2 million. Got
There's
it.
a lot of estimates, and they're all over the place. But I would say 300,000 dead is probably the bottom of where it's actually at after years of conflict, with another 1 million in casualties between both sides.
Sure. Okay.
So that's how, and that's from starvation and minor conflict, not international war.
Right.
Not full on civil war. This is all infighting and warlords and stuff. And it's hit that level.
We're still doing it, guys.
Yeah, well.
It's the 21st century. We're still doing it.
War. War never changes.
So maybe this is as good a time as any to talk about it.
What you got?
Have we ever talked about my experience watching Hotel Rwanda for the first time?
I don't think so.
Okay. So this is also going to be embarrassing in that, like I thought that Black Hawk Down was about a jungle rescue. So Hotel Rwanda, have you ever seen it?
No.
It came out around a little after this time because I would have been in college. And, as you do in college, you want to feel more educated and cosmopolitan. And so you watch the things that are like the Oscars, the Oscar nominees, right? And so I was like, well, this is a smart movie. And I decided to watch it on my day off. I'm chilling. I'm by myself. My roommates are not home. And I'm a sensitive soul sometimes.
Yeah.
And it started to really like weigh on me because the events of Hotel Rwanda happened, I think, in 1994. Like it was not long after the events of Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
And it really hit me hard that this had happened during my lifetime and I never knew about it. Like I never heard about it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really processing that, like, Laura, you were a literal child. The adults around you were probably protecting you from this sort of level of news, if they were even getting this level of news, because it was the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this movie by myself, and there's some really graphic, because it is genocide as well in Rwanda, and it's a little bit more active genocide. And I won't spoil the movie for anyone. If you haven't seen it, you should see that one too. This is an important movie, and that one's also an important movie. But as the active genocide scenes are taking place, I just started like sobbing.
Yeah.
And I called my boyfriend at the time. We are still friends, him and I. Don't know how, but I called him and I was just sobbing. I was like, I can't believe they're killing everyone. And he was like, what are you talking about? Where are you? What is happening? Because I didn't no context. And I'm just crying about them killing everyone. And then I have to explain, oh, I'm watching this movie by myself. And he was like, Laura, you never should have watched that movie by yourself. Don't you know yourself? And I was like, well, I didn't know what it was about.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that active genocide was not interfered with by the U.S. at all was because of the events of this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Ultimately, historically, a lot of historians are like, because this went so poorly when other things were happening, the U.S. was much less inclined to offer any assistance to anyone. So
Cool.
History is important, and I wish I had a better grasp of it.
Context is for kings.
Well, we get to live a lot of it, so.
That's true. We're doing it all the time.
Mm-hmm. A real elvish-looking motherfucker hangs out of a helicopter before talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a sentence I wasn't expecting to write down ever.
Okay, I didn't realize that this actor was Orlando Bloom until, I don't know, we were getting ready to go into Mogadishu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without the hair, I had no idea.
Baby Orlando Bloom. Well, I mean, he had been filming Lord of the Rings at that point. I think Lord of the Rings might have been done filming at this point. If the first one came out, they filmed all three back to back before, and then they did the special effects over a year each and did the editing and everything. Okay. So yeah, he would have been done filming Lord of the Rings at this point.
You want to know the only actor I recognized?
Tom Hardy?
Nope.
Ian McGregor?
Jamie Lannister, bitch.
Oh yeah, Jamie Lannister's in this too, yeah.
I think that he was the only one, but that might not be true. But yeah, I didn't clock Ewan McGregor either.
This would have been in between Clone Wars, or maybe before Clone Wars. I don't know. It depends on how much time filming. I'd have to do a ton of research to know. But around the time he made Clone Wars, he would have made this movie.
Yeah, seriously, though. This cast list, a lot of non-Americans putting on American accents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lorca, man. His southern accent's so good.
Yeah.
Anyways, so a chopper picks up Eric Bana on a bike in the desert while they grab some warthog as Baby Bloom gets settled in. Jamie Lannister plays chess. He is so young and sweaty here. The sheen on him was all like my deep fake sense went off. Was all like, is this a deep fake Jamie Lannister?
CGI Jamie Lannister?
Like, it doesn't. No, and it's just, no, he's just that young and sweaty. It's just that shine, that sheen on him.
Yeah, they really captured. And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, this is October. Like, whew. Everybody is so sweaty.
Yep. After this, no combat situation is complete without a derogatory, dehumanizing nickname for the enemy. Every combat that the United States military has found themselves in, they found one of these. And in
Yep.
this one, we
Yeah.
call the people who are being starved to death skinnies.
So some of the research I read, and it's all internet research, folks,
Okay.
so take that as you will, was that the skinnies reference was actually a reference to the book of Starship Troopers. That's what they called the enemy in the book, Starship Troopers, was the skinnies.
I don't remember that.
I don't either. It's been so long since I read the book that I was like,
It's been, I
Okay.
think it's probably been like 8 or 9 years since I've read the book.
uh-huh.
It's the shit.
And the book is such a different tone than the movie that I can't use.
The book is not satire.
Yeah. I can't use the movie as any sort of gauge.
They're all fighting in mech suits, and his dad survives Buenos Aires and ends up joining the military, and then he ends up commanding his dad at one point. Rico does. It's a whole different experience.
Weird satire and weird like dad issues.
It's a lot about the father-son relationship and turning it on its head in a military command sense. But I don't remember skinnies.
Yeah. I don't know. I was a teenager when I read that book, so I could not tell you. But I saw that on a couple places on the internet, but sometimes on the internet we copy and paste the shit that we find somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
yeah, did AI results
someone in the
give it to
Discord
you?
will know.
Ask ChatGPT, and if ChatGPT says yes, then we know it's false.
I did not use ChatGPT for any of this research. I used crazy ass Google keywords like a normal person.
That's right. Fucking yikes. Anyways, a soldier has a seizure while watching Steve Martin. And then we see Jason Isaacs, Captain Lorca here, says he's going home. He has epilepsy.
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett takes over his responsibilities.
So Josh Hartnett is Eversman, is his character,
Yeah, something like that.
correct?
I did not use a single character name in all of my notes. I only refer to the actors by their name or by other
Oh,
parts
no.
they are in.
Oh, crap. I did the other thing. I have only character names. I don't know who these people are, except for Jamie Lannister. Yeah. So Eversman, what I read about him. So the book that details the whole Black Hawk Down incident, the Battle of Mogadishu, really well, has like almost 100 characters,
Yes.
like actual people. And thank God Mr. Ridley Scott did not want to do all 100 people because Laura would be not watching this movie. It would be insane.
Yeah.
He trimmed it down to about 20-ish.
Yeah.
And so Eversman's character is a composite of 3 other people.
Okay.
And so he does actions that the real Eversman, as well as 2
Two other characters.
two other
Two other
characters. So it's
people
a
who
composite
lived.
of 3 total.
Because the book is nonfiction, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
So his actions are also 2 other people's actions.
Yeah.
And there is one character that is significant in our story that was actually not a real person.
Yeah.
And that is because we had to take a real person out of the story because he was convicted in the year 2000 of child molestation. And the Pentagon and the production team were not key on giving him any time of day.
Yeah. Good call, Pentagon. Some statements I
Yeah.
don't usually get to say.
Well, broken clock, yes.
There's a diner in the Pentagon that's hella legit.
I would believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. Have we talked? I spent a month in the Pentagon.
I feel like
Have we
I've heard
talked about
about the
this?
diner.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if this has ever come up on pod before. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing that happened in my life.
Maybe it's just between us. I don't know.
It is part of my 2 truths and a lie. My public 2 truths and a lie, not my private. We're actually friends 2 truths and a lie, which is way different and not going on pod. Although I will say one of those is almost suing the TV show Supernatural.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a story we've told. No, one of my fun little 2 truths and a lie that I always bring up is I have raced golf carts in the basement of the Pentagon. Because that seems like an obvious lie, right? Like it's way too absurd. But no, that's That's true. That's something that's happened.
I feel like the Pentagon has a basement for golf carts. Yes.
So the Pentagon is like the 24th largest building in the world,
Sure.
and it
yeah,
is
yeah.
5 stories tall.
And you need golf carts
And it's the
sometimes to get people
24th
quickly.
largest building in the world. It is
Yeah,
hard to describe how wide the Pentagon is in terms that are understandable by most brains. It's something you have to see. It is insanely massive. And so when you need to take out the trash, you end up taking it out in golf carts driving around in the basements of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Not in the bunker basements of the Pentagon and stuff. Like the
service basement.
basements. Yeah. Exactly. So anyways, this is where the third movie comes in. Because Josh Hartnett, I'm like, when the fuck did this movie come out? And it's like December 2001. I'm like, wasn't Josh Hartnett busy in 2001? And he was making Pearl Harbor. He made Pearl Harbor, and then he made this movie immediately after, and then he took a break from acting for a little bit.
Fuck. Yeah. Like.
Right as his career was ready to blow up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd take a break too. For one thing, like, hopefully you've gotten some money out of these gigs.
Yeah.
Like, take it easy.
Yeah, but if anyone
also, these were intense gigs.
Anyone was keeping score at home while we're talking about all these movies that, stand up the military. This was filmed in March 2001 and released in December 2001.
Okay. Yeah.
And Pearl Harbor was released in May of 2001. So, if you were like, hey, where are all these war movies vis-a-vis September 2001? No reason.
Right. They were actually filming before that.
Yes,
yeah.
they had completed filming well before September 2001.
So I think part of a big reason that I avoid a lot of war movies is A, don't like the things that come with war.
Yeah.
And B, I'm never sure walking in if I'm going to be watching basically a propaganda piece about how great we are and how great and necessary war is. So I was a little surprised on this movie. I went in with a dread.
Yeah. Now this movie, this movie does a great job of making sure that the U.S. is the good guys.
Well, yeah.
Despite being effectively, imperialist invaders, depending on whose perspective you're looking at. Obviously, the people in Somalia were not doing great things to their people to prompt the UN to come in. And then when the UN people, the Red Cross, are getting attacked, the military comes in to stop them from getting attacked.
Right. Yeah.
All of this tracks. And but I'm also at the end of this movie, we get 19 names of the people who died. And it's like, oh, plus also 1,000 Somalis.
Yeah. And what I've read is that it's really actually very hard to know how many Somalis. They say in this movie that it was 1,000, but people wonder, we think it might have been closer to 2,000 or 3,000 Somalis.
Yeah. Well, we don't get a single name for any of them. Nor is there a single Somali person involved in this production. There's not a single Somali actor in this film. There's not a Somali consultant in the making of this film.
Yep. The extras that did the work of the Somali militia were the Royal Moroccan Army.
Okay.
That's what I read. So interesting. Yeah. But I have some things to say about that at the end.
Yeah, that's
so
when
let's
we
just
talk
put a
about
pin
that.
on that.
We get to our mission debrief, and it goes down like everything should not be a problem. But last I checked, the movie isn't named Black Hawk Remains in Air during uneventful seizure of African warlord's top aides. So I don't like their chances.
Yeah, there's a little bit of looks around the table, and, we have someone who says, wait, we're going in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Without, I don't remember the type of equipment that the general said he requested.
Certain types of air
he
cover.
Requested heavier equipment.
Yeah. He wanted not Black Hawk helicopters. He wanted some heavier
Something bigger.
stuff that was going to be
Yeah.
safer, I'm sure, for the pilots.
Yes. More armored is what I took away.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to go in while they can see us coming
Mm-hmm.
and not with the equipment we wanted. Everyone is taking it reasonably well. We don't have like a little Battlestar type blow up of your plan sucks,
Yeah.
sir. But maybe not great.
Yeah. Christian gets pulled from a visit to the Moulin Rouge to actually see combat. Bad timing. Josh Hartnett gets the squad prepped for his first command here.
Yeah.
All pep talking.
We get some various like soldier life kind of stuff where they're starting to pack their gear
Yeah.
and somebody's making fun of somebody else like, we're not going to need that shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is a 30-minute afternoon operation, you dumb.
Yeah. Baby Tom Hardy's getting written from Train Spotting a bunch of shit.
Yeah. So I recognized that actor. I had no idea his name, but I was like, I've seen this goofy face somewhere.
Yeah. That's a Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Pre-Star Trek nemesis Tom Hardy.
We do see somebody who is like, nah, I've got too much shit to carry. And he takes the like armored plating out of the back of his bulletproof vest.
Yep.
Yikes. A whole bunch of times during the beginning of this movie, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like hyper tuned to these things. We pulled the clerk, that he's complained earlier in the movie about, I go to all these battlefields, but I only make the coffee and I type the typies. And and now he's going, and boy, it's like, that guy's not gonna make it. This guy that took his plate out isn't gonna make it. Like, I was worried for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, baby Orlando Bloom, who's just all like, I can't wait to get in there and kill people. I'm just like, oh, dude, you're not going to make it to this fight. And he doesn't.
It's like, well, you're first. Yep.
But that's in a minute here. The mission is about to go. A few soldiers call home, leave letters. Guy puts his blood type on his boots.
Shout out Onegs. Woo!
Yeah, same.
All right, rock.
Statistically very improbable.
Yeah.
We are probably maybe the only Sci-Fi Watchcast who has 2 O-negative hosts. That's
the only O-negative Sci-Fi watch.
That is a very real possibility. We finally found our claim to fame, Laura.
Woo! You know what else is weird and probably statistically weird is both my children are O-negs.
Oh yeah, that is Aaron not?
We don't know because he hates getting his blood taken.
Oh man, you got to do that like once a year.
I'm like, man, I'm going to walk you to the doctor's office and be like, look, y'all, I need to know. I just need to know.
Like, I will say though, like, I had a very strong phobia of needles for a very long time. I get it.
Okay.
2021 rolls around. It's January. COVID vaccines are about to be a thing. And in order to try and psych myself up to not be afraid of needles, I get my first tattoo.
Oh, okay.
And it totally worked. Not only have I gotten 2 more tattoos since then, but I'm also not afraid of needles anymore.
You just like exposured yourself
100%.
So hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't remember what happens to that guy, but that doesn't seem good.
Yeah.
We're about to get on the helicopters. We've got some helicopters going in. We've got, I think, a total of 4 Blackhawks and some Little Birds and a convoy.
Oh, God.
We've got people that are going to be on the ground.
I found where we are at in my notes.
Okay.
And it says this mission is about to Black Hawk go down. And then the
Fair.
next line is, have you ever thought about how a helicopter is just a really big upside down lawnmower? I promise I was not high or drunk when I did this.
It did take you a while,
It took me hours. I think I watched this movie for 4 hours for notes plus.
just to give you some off-pod context, ladies and gentlemen, I watched this movie one day, while the baby was napping, and I texted Xhafer immediately afterwards, and I said, "Oh boy, that was rough. But if I did it, you have to do it too, by God."
Yeah.
And then Xhafer texted me the next day in the morning, like when he started, because he had like 15 pages of notes on the font.
Yeah.
And then was texting me a little bit periodically throughout. And I was like, oh God.
It's been 3 hours and I've made it 30 minutes. I think at one point, I texted you, if I keep up at this pace, I will finish right before dinner. And I think I started around 9 a.m.
Yeah. It's dense, y'all.
Yeah. After this, as the choppers move out, we get some of that classic Battlestar Galactica near silence as big vehicles are moving around. This is another thing that we see a ton. We get lots of in Battlestar, it's like cockpit views where you get little glimpses of the battlefield behind. Here, it's like the side of the helicopter is, like a little bit of the frame, like Eric Bana or Tom Hardy's face is like 2/3 of the frame. And then you've got this sliver of everything else that you need to be knowing what's going on in. It does a very good job of communicating that way in a way that Battlestar Galactica also does.
They did some really pretty shots of the beach.
Yeah.
And the coast as they're flying along, because it seems like we're kind of coming along this coast to go into Mogadishu.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really pretty.
They comment on it that it's almost a great place to go on vacation.
Yep. What with all the famine and warlords, not so much.
Yeah.
But
they get into the city here as the military starts to move in. This felt so much like the first act of Metal Gear Solid 4 to me, which I'm sure was a choice. That does not take place in Somalia, but it does take place right on the other side of a couple bodies of water from Somalia. And Kojima, the guy who makes those games, is such a movie nerd that it 100% was not an accident.
Yeah.
Let's see. The troops pour out of the choppers with Legolas falling out as the chopper dodges an RPG. They try and get him to a Humvee as teams at the hotel have cleared the building and captured everyone within in quick order.
So fun fact, I guess, as much as anything about this movie can be called fun. The Rangers that are dropping out of these helicopters, they got actual Rangers to do that.
I would hope
for the movie.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, actual trained people. This movie seemed to require a lot of Pentagon cooperation, which is probably part of the tone setting. If we want the actual military assets, we have to dance their dance up to a certain point. And the real military nerds will notice this, but I guess there are some shots that are not in Black Hawk helicopters. They're in Hueys because they were waiting for permission for the Black Hawks and trying to do some filming.
Okay.
And just had to work with what they had. I couldn't tell you what those scenes were. It's all a helicopter to me, you guys.
There's I know there's the ones that have the seats on the outside, and then there's the ones that have the seats on the inside that are bigger.
I don't know.
That's as much as I got.
I can tell you that none of these damn helicopters was Airwolf, and I'm really sad about it.
If one of these was Airwolf, none of this would have happened.
If
they had just had a jet helicopter, they would have been able to dodge that RPG.
Yep. Yeah.
Where were you, Airwolf?
It's a damn shame.
Humvees start heading out with the captives. Another rocket-propelled grenade almost takes out Christopher Robin, and it's a lot of gunfire from this point on.
Yeah. We got the captives actually very quickly.
Yeah.
In this movie. They told us who the targets were. They were some high up lieutenants of Adid. We weren't going for him, but we were trying to get some of his staff, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got him. We got him real quick. And they're such a nothing. They aren't do we ever actually see these guys? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's
Because
not the
the
point.
focus is on like how this thing just spirals out of control, even though we got what we came for.
Yeah. A gunner gets taken out, so Eric Bana jumps on it. And then 54 minutes in, the titular Black Hawk goes down.
Yeah.
Man,
It
this
was
scene,
a minute
this
before this goes
particular
down.
scene with the gunner hit me fucking hard because one of my best friends was a Humvee gunner in
Uh-huh.
Afghanistan for a number of years. And to just see like how quick this happens, I was just
Yeah.
like I had to stop and like walk away for a minute and just like text him,
Hmm.
just be like, hey, I know you're alive. Obviously, it's been, 20 years since you were in Afghanistan almost.
Hmm.
But just thinking of you, buddy. Hope you're doing
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. We all have friends that served in some capacity, and we love them for it. It's so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a student right now that served
Yeah.
and watched this movie over the weekend, and it was like, man, I kind of want to say thank you, but I don't want to be weird. Don't be weird. So I haven't been weird.
Yeah. I have a number of veteran friends, and I don't know. I've always, some of them I met in college who had gotten out and had done
Hmm.
and were around and after their service, and then some of my friends went in after college.
Hmm.
And so I don't know, I've always taken it upon myself, like I think the best way I can honor their sacrifices is by being a very active pacifist.
I wish our society was such that we didn't need that we didn't need that.
100%. Yeah. Yeah,
And
so
I would
much.
like to build toward that, but
Yeah.
it seems like people are messing it up for us, like actively right now.
Like actively, right? Like, let me refresh CNN real quick.
Oh, please don't.
Okay.
You wanna like a happy tidbit from this movie?
Yeah. Is one
Uh,
exists?
there's a happy tidbit. So when they were filming, the set was like constantly pestered by stray dogs running in and out of shots.
Okay.
And Ridley Scott was like, "No, this is kind of authentic. Like this makes sense
Yeah.
for this set and this setting, right?" And then 8 dogs were adopted by the production team and taken back to the US.
That's cool.
Yeah. So some doggies got some homes
Yeah.
out of this movie.
Yeah. When we get into combat here, the language of the film speaks the same as language as Battlestar Galactica. We've got lots of fast cuts with dialogue interspersed in between. One of the things that struck me the most about this movie and made me realize how much we see it in Battlestar is the difficulty of communication in combat.
Yes.
They are constantly yelling at each other and repeating each other in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we see all the time in Battlestar.
Yeah. And if you miss a word, like recent episode of Battlestar where we had an exercise and some radios were cutting out,
Mhm.
like radios cutting out can mean a lot when you're in this second by second situation. Yeah.
We get after this what's probably my favorite shot of the movie. So Josh Hartnett's squad is working their way to surround and secure the chopper crash site. And then there's a group of Somali soldiers working their way there as well. And we get this overhead shot of the two alleyways and both groups working their way down in parallel.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Ridley Scott. You did good.
So tense.
This is like the weirdest movie in the Prometheus alien movie series, but definitely the best shot out of all of them,
Yeah.
which I guess
Yeah.
technically would be true because they did seed Earth. So any movie he does that's a historical movie would technically count as in universe
It's
for
in
Alien and
universe. It's
Prometheus.
canon.
It's canon. Huh. That was a throwaway joke, but I'm thinking about it more now.
You accidentally created a conspiracy.
right?
Congrats.
The chaos of combat unfolds. We see civilians killed, soldiers killed or maimed. This is not glorified or cleansed. Dude gets his thumb shot off or something at one point.
Yes, we see that.
Guy grabs a hand. Like,
Yep.
it is disgusting on purpose.
The multiple times we hear that no one is left behind, and the meaning of that is like, if something happens to a buddy and there are only parts of your buddy, like, get the parts of your buddy, bring him home. It's really intense. We do see at one point, I don't know if we're quite there, but we're close. Are we to the convoy getting RPG'd yet?
I think we're about there. Yeah. I mostly, most of my notes for the next little bit talk about the color grading matching Caprica.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yes. The color, I now know where Caprica yellow came from, you guys.
100%. Yeah.
It's Black Hawk Down.
Caprica yellow is Black Hawk Down, 100%.
Yes. Well, we've got this convoy trying to make it back. We have an RPG strikes, and it hits the driver of one of the vehicles.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And doesn't explode. So what I read was this was true. I'm not sure if it was this injury or another injury, but the actual injury was so implausible that they had to edit it to make it where they were like, people won't believe that this is what really happened.
Yeah.
So we have to change it a little bit.
This is where he gets all the glass in his face, the driver, or is that later?
I think that is now.
Okay.
I think the passenger gets glass in his face, but the driver gets that and an RPG. And so we're toast. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of these things run together, guys. It's really hard to review this kind of movie.
Yeah. Thwombles and Nelson are stranded alone here. Okay. Not sure. I guess I did use character names for these two.
Thwombles is a great name.
Yeah.
Thwombly, I think.
Thwombly, yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's Thwombles now.
It's good. Yeah.
Nelson is rendered death from gunfire. Another chopper drops troops but has to evac. It gets in the down chopper, we see the crew is still alive but can't be moved, so they're trying to treat them in the wreckage as another copter gets taken down. And at this point, we've seen them launch so many rocket-propelled grenades that I grabbed my phone and in Google, I typed RPG cost. And then I deleted it before I hit search so I don't end up on a government watch list.
No, you're just going to get a whole bunch of stuff about D&D.
100%. That's what actually would have happened. Yeah.
That's what you would have gotten.
This is like totally unrelated, but related. I went shooting with Ben a couple weeks ago. And as part of like the waiver process, they get your email. And they immediately turned my email over to a guy who runs a CCW permit class in the area. And he has emailed me 1 to 2 times every single day since I went to that range about how not safe I am and how I need to get a CCW.
Okay. Fuck off.
I blocked him today. I blocked him without unsubscribing.
Yeah. That is okay.
It was obscene. Some of these emails I got were just like, dear God.
I just gave my auditing class a little spiel about not making decisions out of fear.
Good. That's a good place to be.
And I was, of course, speaking in like a professional business context and like having to challenge your client on complex accounting issues, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it applies to like a lot of stuff.
So, Laura, we do very different things. But something that we both probably spend a lot of time professionally doing is explaining math to people who aren't as good at math as us.
Yeah.
And I
Sure.
feel like this is our overlap on the Venn diagram on the professional side. I uh I uh I mean, I've been at my job for about 6 months now. So I'm at a
Uh-huh.
point now where I am more of a known factor instead of the new guy.
Uh-huh.
And, coming in as senior developer, there's not a lot of senior developers in the company who do what I do, have my level of expertise. I'm at a point now where people are reaching out to me like, hey, how would I go about starting a project in the thing that you're an expert in?
Uh-huh.
And I wrote a page and a half about just requirements gathering. And a full
Uh-huh.
third of it is don't let yourself be bullied by the business. They don't understand math. I don't care if they're in finance. They don't understand math. They,
Uh-huh.
even if they understand accounting math or finance math, they don't understand statistics.
They don't understand computer math.
They
Yeah.
don't understand computer math. They don't understand report design. If it's not a spreadsheet, you've lost them.
Yep.
And that's fine. That's not their job to understand. It's your job to understand, but you can't let them dictate requirements from the mindset of not understanding how this works and what they could possibly have.
Yeah.
Which is the same
that's
thing.
So
It's
real.
just don't be bullied. Don't make decisions out of fear. Put your foot down. Know that you know what you're talking about. Same thing. Same.
Yeah. Yeah. So life lessons here
Yeah.
on the podcast. If you made it this far, I don't know.
That's
Glad you're still here.
we've made 4
Okay,
jokes
so
in
where
an
are we
hour, so we're trying.
No, right? We're trying to give you some content at least. Okay.
The catharsis you get out of this, I hope, is worth the lack of jokes, listener.
This episode is just for me at this point because I got some stuff I got to work out about
Right.
life.
Laura would literally rather host a podcast than go to therapy. What?
I can do 2 things.
Man, Jason Isaac's southern accent is so good.
Yeah.
He gets a bit of talking after this, and I know it's not the same character he played in White Lotus in this most recent season, but god damn, is that not my headcanon.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've got two helicopters that are really important in this
Yeah.
movie. I was absolutely stunned when
It's not Black
a
Hawk's
second-
down.
There's a second one. Oh my gosh. I was misled.
Completely, big twist, completely unexpected. A second helicopter goes down.
Oh boy. Yeah, Super 6-1 was the first one, and now Super 6-4.
Yeah.
Not in good shape. And both of these are taken out by RPGs hitting a rotor, I think.
Yeah. Which makes sense. That's how you stabilize.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, you are just a giant upside down lawnmower.
Right. So, in this movie, I didn't know what to suspect of being CGI.
Yeah.
You know, everything was really smooth and good. But I did read that when the helicopters are going down and the rotors are kicking up dust, anytime the helicopters were close to the ground and were kicking up dust, the dust is CGI. Like they would actually wet the ground beforehand so that there wouldn't be dust. And then they added the dust in post because actual dust could be a little too unpredictable. You don't know if you're going to see what you want to
That
see.
makes sense.
So, yeah. I was like, hey, good job. Had no idea.
Yeah, the dust CGI is solid in this time frame. No Beowulfs here.
Yeah. Yeah, but we get really dramatic. Both times that these helicopters go down, there's the moments where the pilots know they're going down, which must be just awful for a person. And they're descending, and then you have the rotor coming into the ground because the helicopter doesn't just land on its belly.
Yeah.
That rotor is going to be spinning into the ground.
Giant lawnmower. We get some wounded convoys Humvees finally return to base here, stranding Josh Hartnett and the others. The second down chopper is swarmed. All the prisoners are killed except for one who is captured alive, but only after killing dozens of Somalis.
We had one pilot that seemed like clearly okay. And so we had the second crash site, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two of our Deltas were in another helicopter and said they wanted to go secure the site.
Yeah.
So Sugart and Gordon. Gordon is Jaime Lannister.
Yeah.
They propel down, try to protect crash site number 2. They get Michael Durant, was the pilot who survived, out of the helicopter, and they can't get him very far. They get him like into a building, and then they're going to try to defend him.
Yeah.
But does not go great.
Nope. Night begins to descend as the troops deployed begin to coalesce. Yorick, Nelson, and Thwombles make it back, but not without injury or incident. Eric Bana and crew make it to the other downed chopper and find no one. The troops in the field do their best to stabilize their wounded compatriots until
this is horrible.
all of nightfall hits and the Somalis press the attack.
Yeah, so in this nighttime thing, we have, I think his name is Smith. I don't know ranks. I couldn't tell you the ranks of most of these people. But he's been hit in an aorta,
Yeah.
like in his leg. And the craziness of the medic having to try to stabilize this young man
Yikes.
with his colleagues, who I do believe he's only one medic, and the rest of them are just like doing what he says.
Yeah.
Just so intense. And this young man does not make it.
No. No.
In this nighttime, somewhere in this nighttime thing, we have Grimes, who was the paper pusher, the clerk, making coffee.
Yeah. He makes damn good coffee.
This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Yeah. The secret is in the grind. He's like hopped up on adrenaline probably, but also knowing like we need to stay awake if we're going to make it through this night, if we're going to get out of here, and making people coffee. And I was like, man, I'm not going to pretend that I would be any use in this situation, but I would probably think, yeah, coffee. Let's do that.
Eric Bana and crew are some sneaky bitches. They take out some artillery and then use it to hit other artillery.
Artillery?
Artillery. Look, it's 10:30.
No, I get it. The other day, I could not say operate. Oh, no. Operationalize. I was trying to say that in class, and it did not go well, and I could not do it. And I ultimately chose other words.
Yeah. Yeah. Tanks start rolling out of the base here as the narrator from TV's Nature finishes up his coffee. Perimeters are established, and everyone works to get everyone out of there as day breaks. A group of Rangers are forced to proceed on foot since there aren't enough room in the vehicles for everyone.
Yes, yeah. These are the UN vehicles. So these are not US vehicles.
I hope this was just drama at this point.
Nope.
Oh, no. Like, even if there's not enough room for everyone, right? Would you send the guys who have been awake for a day and a half fighting in enemy territory to go on foot? Or would you send the fresh guys out on foot and get these guys in a fucking car?
Nope.
No?
No. So these were UN vehicles, and the UN troops did not want to be out there. These aren't US troops that are coming as relief. So I believe it was Pakistani, maybe, I don't know. I know there was at least Pakistani, Malaysian, because they also suffered a couple of casualties, but not like the Americans did. But yeah, they did not let the Americans in the vehicles, and they had to run out. It was 5 kilometers, approximately. And this is now referred to as a Mogadishu mile. So sometimes there are fundraisers done where, like you'd sign up for a 5K, right? But it's like a veterans something support, and you're going to do the Mogadishu mile, and there's no timing. There's no first, second place. Like, you're to commemorate this event that happened. And you're not ranking, you're just remembering the experience of these soldiers who had to run their way out of the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if my buddy Joe's done these. He is both a veteran and a marathon runner.
Yeah. It's probably come up then. Yeah.
I'm sure it's come up. He ran the Detroit Marathon, I want to say 5 years in a row while carrying an American flag.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in the news every year for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not, we've talked about I run and I'm nothing. I'm slow as fuck, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just trying to do this. And I was like, wow, I'm probably never going to look at the 5K distance the same way again. Watching these men do it with their weapons and all their
50
equipment.
pounds of gear. Yeah.
After having been up at the most traumatic night of their lives.
Yeah.
Having to just keep going.
Fuck.
Yeah. So. Crazy.
Yep. They get out of the hostile part of the city and back to base as we head to the medic tent where the injured are treated. Ruiz has a big "do we get to win this time" Rambo 2 vibes.
Yeah, so Ruiz is basically saying, don't go back there without me.
Yeah.
I think Ruiz was one that had kind of a break in the middle, and he's like, I can't do it. I can't go back out there. And
he also died.
Yeah. So he's saying, don't go back out there without me. But they're sending him to Germany to the field hospital, and he does not survive.
Yeah, he's in the list of those soldiers at the end.
Yeah.
Eric Bana is going back out there as Josh Hartnett waxes philosophical on the life of a soldier, telling fallen comrades he's going to talk to some parents or something as we see caskets get loaded up. And that's the end of the movie. We get the little bit about the 1,000 Somalis and 19 American soldiers. Here's 19 American soldier names.
And then 1,000 other people.
Yeah.
Except it was probably more than that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So I have other things I want to say about this movie.
Yeah.
For one thing, I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah.
I think when I texted you, I was like, man, fuck this episode.
Yeah. You did.
I was like, I don't know. I might give my first fuck this movie.
We don't rate the movies, and I've never been more glad of that than right now.
Yeah, because it is intense. At one point there's like someone who gets blown in half.
Yeah.
And we comfort his torso and then take it back because we're not leaving anyone behind. And it's weird when we watch these kind of things that knowing in the timeline of the universe that I was a child. This was during my lifetime.
Yeah.
Those movies that we watch about Vietnam or about World War II, there's a little bit of distance there where you can think about it a little more academically.
Mm-hmm.
But then watching this where it's like, wow, this is my time. And I had no idea it was happening. But the challenge, I think, these days is that up to a point that history, like World War II especially, before the internet, it was easy to come up with a prevailing narrative. We just say this thing enough times in enough books.
Yeah.
And it's the truth of how it went.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can see much more diverse things happening. So, like, with the things that have happened in Gaza, like, we've been able to see the perspectives of the people it's happening to
Yeah.
with the power of the internet.
Yeah, no, I mean, people talk about the news involvement in Vietnam as like exposing the American household to the realities of war and the horrors of war. And
The first time that could happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and TikTok is like the unsanitized, uncensored, direct from civilians version of that.
correct.
And
Correct.
probably the last time we'll have that as a culture as well, because now we're going to have AI showing us fake shit for forever, and it won't
Also
matter
correct.
anymore.
Yeah, that's the concern that I've had this year is, like, obviously I feel for these people,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel for especially the women and children whose backs these conflicts are always carried upon.
Yeah.
You know, it's women and children starving who had no say in any of these decisions and couldn't even have agency in it if they wanted to, because the systems are preventing them from having their own agency. But now we're living in a world where people are putting together pretty realistic fake videos. And so I'm like, I don't even know if I can watch your story and know if it's true or if you're real. Like, to do that, I'm going to
Yeah.
have to do a lot of work also to find out. And it's just really scary, like, where we can go with this as
Yeah.
a society. I don't know. I can't pass judgments on any decisions that were made because I didn't have to make them.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it is, like, hard. How do we stand by and watch this happen? But also, should we interfere in other people's affairs? I don't know.
I mean, if there were an easy answer,
We would have already taken it.
yeah, 100%.
Would have already been done. I did want to call our attention to a recent documentary that was done.
Okay.
I found a BBC article about this. It's supposedly on Netflix. Yeah, this is pretty recent. The article's from February of this year. So for the 30th anniversary, they went to Somalia and talked to Mogadishu residents
Okay.
about what happened. And in this article specifically, they talked to a couple of women, which I appreciated. You know, there is reference in this movie to, like, the common person. At one point, we see an American soldier, like, go through a door. I think it's Uric, whatever his name was.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who got stuck by himself. And there's a woman huddling with
Kids.
like 12 children or
Yeah.
something. She's trying to, like, protect them from everything that's happening. I'm not sure I wasn't totally clear if that was like a classroom. She was a teacher.
It had classroom vibes to me. That was
Okay,
my
yeah.
initial read.
But she's, like, trying to protect these innocent children. And he goes out the other side of the schoolhouse, and there's a little boy out there. And I think the father tries to take a shot at the soldier,
Mm-hmm.
and the soldier has a better shot, the American soldier. And then the boy runs up to the man crying because it's implied, like, that's a relative, you
Yeah.
know, like that's his father or something. At another point, we see, like, on the Mogadishu Mile, when we're running out, like, a older grandfatherly type gentleman carrying a body of someone small.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that Ridley Scott did not completely shy away from that. I understand he probably had to make certain people happy
Yeah.
when he's telling this story. But there's a very real cost there. And so in this article and in this documentary, these women are also telling their stories of, like, what happened to me that day.
Mm-hmm.
And one woman was visiting her family in another part of the city, or friends in another part of the city, when the shells start going off and the gunfire. And so she's very close to it. She runs home to her family. Her husband starts to make her tea. Her neighbor is visiting because she lives alone and she's frightened.
Mm-hmm.
And then some ordinance, impossible to know whose, hits their home. And the husband is dead. She feels water from above her. She's on the ground, and she realizes it's not water, it's the blood of her neighbor, the woman who lived alone, who has passed. She lost several of her children. One of her sons was blinded. One of her sons, she says, this to this day can't stand the sound of an aircraft.
Yeah.
And will hide. This other woman they spoke to gave birth to a baby girl that morning in her apartment. And so she's just had a baby girl, gone through the birth process, postpartum. Her family's here to see the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Everything breaks out. American soldiers run into her house and wind up stationing there in her home while she has a new baby. Sorry. I just really feel for mothers who are in this situation.
Yeah.
And there are probably more of them in the last few days than there were this time before. And there's more of them than there ever should be, who have to think about their new baby and the horrific world around them. And it sounds like the experience with the soldiers wasn't, like a horrible experience. She did name her baby girl. They believe in her family of naming the baby after something significant. She named her baby girl Amina Rangers for the American Rangers that were in her house on her day of birth. But these women think that the story should be told of what it was really like for a person without power. And I'm not saying the soldiers had tons of power, but certainly more than a new mother that day. And some of them would like some kind of reparation for the destruction and the loss. And
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just wanted to let everyone know that that's out there. Like if you've seen Black Hawk Down, you're interested in this thing, like there's also this chance to get some visibility on a Somali citizens' experience.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's actually a mini series, and the title is Surviving Black Hawk Down. So yeah. The more we can know, the more we can empathize with our fellow human being, I hope.
Yeah. Battlestar.
So that was Black Hawk Downer.
Next week, season 2, episode 11, Resurrection Ship Part 1. The Battlestars Galactica and Pegasus face a new Cylon target, a resurrection ship, while a power struggle threatens to result in all-out war among the human fleet.
Yeah, kind of expected that.
Like, I shouldn't have put a movie in between these 3 episodes. Like, as like scheduler, like that's my B.
I mean, that was the authentic experience, right?
I think there was definitely for seasons 3 and 4. I don't remember if there's a break in season 2.
I think Aaron told me there was a break after episode 10.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's definitely a 3-part episode. So,
yeah. I would like some resolution, please, Ronnie D.
You'll have it in like 2 years when we finish Battlestar.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of at this point.
and it won't be enough. So, but
yeah.
that's neither here nor there for right now. What is here right now is me thanking Jeremy Siegel, which
Yeah.
we love you, Jeremy.
We do.
Thanks so much for putting together our theme music and being a part of this pod fam. We appreciate you a great deal. Jeremy Siegel 42.bandcamp.com, streaming services Nuclear Jaguar.
And thanks, Anger Deck Time Machine on Instagram for our podcast artwork.
Aaron, you watched Black Hawk Down too.
Yeah. We had a moment after this movie where, well, of course, he had to listen to me cry for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And I think I've brought it up every day since, as I've been like processing a little more and a little more and a little more. So really, Aaron is always the real MVP of this podcast, because when something happens that requires like effort, mental effort to deal with,
It's
he
always
is the one stuck
Aaron.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, babe.
Yeah. And, Discord, 5-star ratings, tell your friends,
Yeah. All that stuff.
all that stuff. You know all that stuff. This isn't your only podcast, and if it is, I'm flattered.
Hey,
If
me too.
You're exempt from all that other stuff.
Yeah, just be here. We love it.
Yeah, it's cool. We'll take it. We'll see you next week. Internet, fuck.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.